What we're going to talk today about is follow actions. Um, I make a lot of generative music, right? And that is what that is accomplished through what I would call automation. That can mean a lot of different things. I actually deal with that in my day job. I'm a data scientist. I work in cybersecurity, but that's the boring stuff. So I got automation on the brain. What I wanted to do was create kind of a challenge for myself, right? I'd come into a bunch of samples recently and I wanted to try them out. And what I noticed is if I broke them down into their categories, like I'm always going to select components in my sound selection. There's always going to be certain components that just kind of need to exist in hard techno or trance. So having that and already kind of going through the effort of a general mix down, right? What I did is kind of gamified it a little bit. So what I'm accomplishing is every 16 bars, something random is thrown at me, right? So I get a brand new configuration of components in this beat. Some of them hit, some of them don't, right? And so mitigating that live, how you react to that, it's almost kind of like an exercise in DJing. Man, I realize I'm probably cross-eyed. I'm all over the place with this camera. But really, that's kind of the name of the game, right? So if you see some of my videos where it's like the live techno challenge, samples being randomized, that's what it means. So let's hop over to Ableton real quick, and I can kind of give you a little rundown of what that means. So, shot out of a cannon, if you're not familiar with Ableton Live, these are your mixer channels, and you have the ability to group them within here. These are going to be mainly audio channels so that they are, in essence, acting as a sampler, meaning that when this cell is selected to be played, it's going to play this as a loop. Obviously, with everything, there's always caveats. This cannot be, you can also not loop that, but that's also kind of directly adjacent to what I'm talking about today. Really, how I accomplish a lot of my generative music and a lot of my automation is going to be through follow actions, which can be found either here, or if you click on the numbers on your master channel for this, I want to say scene. I'm trying to use DAW agnostic terms because it does really carry over to other software. But in here, what I particularly do is I utilize follow actions on my scenes to create loops or insertion points. Really good example is if I wanted to have a section of a song loop constantly, where I have individual components, meaning, once again, instruments or samples, I can kind of hot change those out in a controlled environment. I'll break this down a little bit more, and I hope that it'll illustrate a little bit better for you. So if we wanted to, say, start our set or our song at the intro, and then create a section where it loops through this section, right? Some people call this a hybrid set, but let's take a look at how it flows through that real quick. So this is my song Goons Akimbo. You'll notice a lot of trademarks. There are a lot of things that I like to do in songs, and we'll leverage that to our effect. So. Okay, so I'm going to stop it there. So what we saw is we hit play at the intro, and things kind of, I'll say, inchwormed their way down, right? What these are doing is they're just acting on their follow actions. So I've got intro, the follow action of next, and the time in, I always get them turned around, bars, beats, sixteenths, right? So 7 bars in, go into the next scene, which is meme, which is a 1 bar, I'll just say it like a sample tag. right? If we were to start again at drop one, synth one, we automatically trigger this kind of queuing for the next section, right? So how do we, if you haven't kind of picked up, you know, if we can move forward, obviously we can move backward. So let's select the remove rides, right? So it'll be, we'll start on our intro. We want to go through our, I'll say our sample call. This could be a producer tag or, you know, something that I love it when people use samples to interrupt the beat and then bring it back in. And so this is a really quick way to create that kind of vehicle. So go to intro, meme, it's going to be the follow action. Once again, we're keeping these follow actions until we get down to remove rides. At that point, I want to go back to the memes. So from our follow action, we hit this drop down and we can do previous, and that will actually bring it up to drop one, synth one, and then kind of create a back and forth, right? Where this comes in handy is, once again, if you wanted to kind of trap it down here, you have a full drum section, and then a pared down drum section is kind of your break and then build. So that's another way you can kind of sneak that type of thing in. But what I'm going to do here, and I do this kind of frequently, is I use the jump. And this used to confuse me because the info text isn't really that great. But down here, actually, let me check my camera. I might be covering it. Oh, nope, we're good. Okay, so down here, it says to drag this to the successive scene, right? I had always had it in my mind, that is the amount that you jump to, because I really hadn't ever used it. What I've found out is this is actually the scene that you want to jump to. So in our case, we want to go back to 3, and I'll put that in. If we would have left that at 1, we would have found out that there we go. So our follow action, once we hopped into the scene, meaning, see, all the clips are playing. Once we hopped into that scene, we're going to queue up our follow action, and then when the time is right, we're going to carry that action out. And so we see at 8 bars, we go from remove rides, select meme, right, or the scene, and begin to play it when the clock strikes, right? So let's, I'm going to create a tighter loop real quick. So this one's actually going to be, we're going to jump, we're going to jump to 2. Let's just create All right, so we've got a nice little loop. What I would do next is hotkey your entry vectors, right? So if you think of these loops in follow actions that we've created, if you think of those as loops, you can then kind of hotkey songs, really, or, you know, non-static mixes, and begin to really get into what I think most people mean when they say hybrid sets, but very quickly be able to get into what I would consider automation. And, you know, if you think about the ability to use follow actions on individual clips as well, these follow the same rules, but, you know, within their air quotes here, mixer channel. So food for thought, if you have live, this has been available for a couple versions. I'm on 11. I know 12 is out now. Give it a shot. Very cool, very easy way to kind of create music that can help make itself. Shout out to, if you recognize some of the samples in here, shout out to the sample creators. they're not my own. But yeah, and hope this was a little quick video, a little bit of a ramble too, but always a pleasure nerding out with you guys, and I hope you have a good day.